Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wild Woman Podcast. Today, I have another wonderful guest with me, Jackie Manzoni. Some of you may have heard of her, others may not, but she is a woman you really have to hear tell her story. She's a self-healed advocate from chronic jaw infections following root canals. And she loves to research all things related to biohacking health. That seems to be, I hear that a lot. Biohacking. Might explain a bit more about that to me. Since 2010, and she has set up with her husband a company called Vital Organico. Was founded in 2015 from the kitchen table, I think, with liposomal vitamins, the start of, and they have expanded and expanded, and I recently found them in my own chemist in Galway. And I love, because I sort of was beginning to go, yeah, and I could feel it when I started to take them. I went, whoa, I could actually, my body, my cells feel like they're taking this in. You know, it was really powerful. So firstly, welcome, Jackie. Delighted to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you, Celine. Thanks for asking me and thanks for having me.
I love to hear a story of, when I hear self-healing, I just feel my whole cells dance up and down, because I believe this is the time we're living in. We are hugely
Absolutely.
powerful, aren't we, human beings, with the
We are.
capacity to self-heal, once we understand how to do that. So can you just maybe start by telling a little bit about, you said you had chronic jaw infections following root canals, how this all started for you?
Right. Have to track back in time. So yeah, I was always a very healthy individual, always naturally very thin. And when I say athletic, I wasn't involved in any athletics, but I was just naturally very vivacious and full of energy person. And then was actually before 2015. That's when we started the company. At this stage, I was already years into trying to heal. I was actually having root canals on this side of the jaw when I was pregnant on my last child, and you know that a pregnancy takes the toll on your body anyway. Not if you're not challenging something else and you feed your body well. Pregnancy is a healthy thing; it's natural. But I had root canals on this side of the jaw, and what root canals do is basically, and I won't be liked by a lot of dentists for saying this, but you're basically taking a dead body part and you're stuffing it up with something. But the tooth has tubules that are connected to all of, like, if you take a tooth, it's going down, it's connected to all the parts of your body and into your lymphatic system, and all of the toxins that come with root canals, to put it mildly, they're draining into your breasts and your lymphatic system and poisoning your whole system, really. So yeah, I was starting to feel, what do you say, if you get up on sore throat, tonsils,
Yeah.
my neck swelling all the time. And of course, I was going around. I went to the different dentists. I went to the dental hospital, and I was told there was nothing wrong. And then you get down to the doctors who offer you antidepressants. Are you sure you're feeling okay? And I'm like, yeah, I don't feel depressed. I just don't feel well. But then, not that you start to feel depressed, you start, when your body starts to be loaded with toxins, you can actually start to feel quite anxious, because your body is trying to alert you that there's something wrong. There's some kind of toxin draining into your system. And it's like anybody, if you get up and you have a hangover, they call it the fear. People can have depression or anxiety because their body's toxic. So yeah, the toxins bring their own challenge. So I'm trying to remember back now. I went around in circles for a long time, and then I started to research, and I found papers online about osteonecrosis and cavitations. And they were the first acknowledgement where something can actually happen from root canals, where they rot the jawbone, basically. So osteonecrosis is basically where the jaw is rotted. And cavitation would be like the hole that's formed in the bone. And those become like pockets, like a cesspit of toxins. And like I said before, that are feeding down into your system. And that's exactly what has happened to me. And unfortunately, even if you only have one or two root canals, they spread with the saliva all around the jawbone. And that's what essentially happened to me in the end. But as I said, I went around the dental hospital, went around everywhere, and nobody knew anything. And then I found these papers online. So I started to look into holistic dentists, and the first person I found was in Munich in Germany. So I went with my husband, and they had what's called a Cavitat machine. Now, the Cavitat has since been replaced with the Cavito by that same dentist in Munich. So what that does is it's not really tomography. It works on, because the X-ray won't show up cavitation. So the cavito works on colors. And let's say the red color, the green color is healthy jawbone. The red color will show up where it's necrosis, or it's rotted, or there's like an empty space. So that was the first time I got answers, and he said all of my jawbone was showing up red on this side and on this side, and I was like, but I don't. This man was fully aware of what root canals do, and it was finally feel acknowledged. Oh my God, this is what's going on. So he took out the teeth on this side, and when he took it out, I'm not joking when I say that the bone was actually scooped out with a spoon. It was so that's necrosis. So you're actually dealing with like an osteomyelitis, necrotic situation, and it's no wonder then that you feel your gut is affected. You start to not be able to digest, because when you have that many toxins, you end up with a situation where your stomach acid is low, so you have like GERD symptoms, reflux symptoms, your bowel starts to be affected. So the whole body is connected, as we all know, one system to another. And if you are full of toxins, you're not going to feel very good. So
Yeah.
he cleaned out all of the jawbones for me, and he did treatments where I first became aware of IV vitamin C. And he also did light therapy. So they were doing these light therapies to shine. Yeah, I mean, he was very ahead of his time. I think that was in about 2008. Was it, Claudia? Anyway, he was doing these treatments, but it wasn't little money, let's say. It was huge money. But my problem was then that the wisdom teeth were impacted as well, and the infection had spread to all that area. So the wisdom teeth had to come out, all the jaw had to be cleaned back, the same on this side. And then the same happened up at the top. So I had to have and I had beautiful teeth. I didn't have bad teeth. There was nothing wrong with my teeth. It was the jawbone underneath. In order to clean it out, you had to take out the teeth. So,
Okay.
yeah, a couple of them on this side were starting to, where the root canals were starting to turn black, because obviously the nerve was dead and the blood supply was going. So that was my first sign as well, that I was right, that it was the teeth, because I could see, I used to actually feel really tender all along here. So now I know what I know about the lymphatic system and how it works to keep our bodies healthy. It doesn't surprise me what I was feeling. But at the time, I was totally clueless. I had no idea what was going on. But moving ahead, I went back and forward to Munich for several different operations, and I didn't really heal from there. So I came back, and this
You were having teeth taken out now, is this it? You were having...
and the jawbone scraped out and cleaned back, and stitches all along. But each time I would have the operations, I don't know if I have any photographs going back, but my whole face would be swollen massively, like as if I had the mumps. Now I know what I know, that my lymphatic system was not functioning at all, and I was never going to heal. And I'm surprised that this particular doctor didn't know that. Now, if you look on Instagram and even stuff that I share a lot about the lymphatic system, because if your lymphatic system is not able to drain, like where your lymph nodes are is what produces the white blood cells, and the white blood cells are what eat away infection and clean up the area. If you're not able to produce new white blood cells, you're not going to be able to heal no matter how many operations you have. So essentially that's what was happening me. I can say that in one sentence now because I'm years later down the road, but at the time, the frustration, the expense, I have 4 children, they were very young at the time. No, they weren't babies, but they were like 10, I think the eldest was 15, but like there was just so much going on with schools and with everything, trying to get back and forth to Germany. So I fell out with that dentist in the end, fell out with him because the jaw, when he opened all of this side for about the 4th or 5th time, and he opened it all up, the stitches, there was so much lymph fluid here that it all burst open 2 days later when I got home. And he said he was going on his holiday, so he left me like that for a month. And the whole thing healed back really crookedly. Sorry, I'm really giving a gory story here now. So then I ended up anyway finding, I don't know how I didn't find this guy. You go back to now a time when we didn't have the internet the way we have now.
What year was this? What year was this?
This was about 2008, but we didn't have the internet like now. I didn't even have a phone. I didn't like phones, so I didn't have a phone, But I can't even remember now. I'd have to think back, or my husband would remember better, how somebody put me in touch with Graham Munro Hall. And what a wonderful man he was. He was already doing holistic dentistry in Bedford in the UK. And he has, he's working with the Mamata Treaty still to have mercury banned in the UK and Ireland. I think they've successfully now in Northern Ireland and the UK, but not in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland yet. So when I found him, everything changed. He had to redo all the operations. It wasn't that the first dentist wasn't right in his diagnosis, but the treatment, the follow-up treatment wasn't enough for me. So when Graham Monroe Hall, he cleaned out all of the areas again. He gave me, and this was where my business began in a way, because he gave me mega doses of vitamin C. I'm talking about 100 grams. You have 1 gram in a capsule and you only absorb about 20% of that. He was giving me 100 grams with 500 milligrams or more, or no, 25 milligrams, wasn't it, Claudia, of glutathione. So
in the
my
vitamin
body,
C, with the vitamin C.
yes, with the vitamin C and B vitamins as well. And that was happening straight after the operation. And sometimes he would also be infusing during the operation. So your body is going, I really like this. I need more of this stuff, because all of a sudden it was given the antioxidant material to be able to heal. Whereas before, the other guy had newfangled lights and everything. And yes, all of those lights work and everything. I ended up buying a red light, and I used red light massively to heal my jaw as well. But it's when somebody's in that situation and they're massively deficient in glutathione when you're that ill, and in vitamin C, and it's why IV vitamin C works so well as well for people with cancer or challenging health conditions, because we're massively depleted when we become that ill, and we're probably depleted before we come ill. But anyway, I started to do IV vitamin C, and he would do them for 3 days afterwards, and I would feel amazing. And yeah, he was doing magnets and all that sort of stuff as well. So the body was starting to drain, and it's all about your drainage and your drainage pathways and heal. But when I would come back, I would start to slip slide again and not feel well again. And he was giving me homeopathic remedies to take and all sorts of things, but it wasn't cutting the mustard still, because I was like still feeling that, wasn't having that feeling that I had when I had the vitamin C. And then one day, like, I was going back, I had to keep going back and forward there now as well to have the sites opened and cleaned. Don't blame everything on the guy in Germany either. I'm just saying that it was a learning process.
Yes, of course.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so then I realized, actually, I think it's this IV vitamin C that is really making the difference for me. And when I said it to Graham Monroe Hall, he said, yeah, absolutely. So continue with the IV vitamin C at home when you get home. I couldn't stay there more than 3 days. I had a house full of kids and schools and everything. So I was like, oh, where would I get that? So I researched it and I couldn't find it anywhere in Ireland. Now we have a couple of IV clinics in Ireland, and my niece and nephew actually started one up after that called Get a Drip, and it's a franchise and they're doing really well. But at that time, there was no IV clinics. So at that stage, I loved researching. It was, I felt I was saving my life. And my husband had his computer, and I was getting used to computers. I don't even know what year this was then, but I know, I'll give you a time scale. My last operation was in 2017. So that's
2017. Okay.
so it
That was
went
a
on for
fairly
years.
long period of.
It went a very long period of ill health. I was very ill in between. I was literally only about 6 stone. I was so depleted and so ill, and the operations in a way were making me worse, because when you realize if you're opening an area, it's like a gangrene area, and you're letting it out into the body, and then you don't get the antioxidants to mop it up, or the glutathione or the binders. I didn't know any of this at the time, and there were
Yeah.
no holistic dentists in Ireland, and there's still very few. I think about 2.
I think there might be one in Mayo, isn't there, or in Westport?
Well,
I've
yeah,
heard of.
and
So
they're
just
one of
can you
our.
tell me just so in terms of healing, and you talk about the lymphatic system, I'm just trying to get a, I went and used hyperbaric oxygen just recently,
I did that as
actually
well.
up
Yeah,
in Mark
you
Ashwood Centre in Boyle, Live 5D Health, and I could
amazing
feel,
place.
pardon?
Amazing place.
Amazing place. But
Right.
it's, and what my first experience of it, and I've shared it before, was all I could feel was, it was like my whole system firstly relaxed. Like I went into parasympathetic mode where your body
Yeah,
can heal. If you're in the stress response, I feel that's another side of it. You can't, your body doesn't have the right
yeah,
conditions. But I felt my cells, just when you talk about antioxidant, like I don't understand it scientifically, other than I felt my cells were dancing, like there was this
yeah.
space.
Of course
So,
they were.
so
The
the
body
cells
does
have
that
to
to you.
regenerate. Is that the key? Like it's our cells are always Is
Well,
that
our
a big?
bodies are self-healing, you know,
Yeah,
and as
yeah,
long as we give, Claudia, would you put that in for us? If we give our bodies what it needs, our bodies know they're intelligent and they know how to heal them.
yes.
But if we
So
don't give
break
them,
down the key things that we need. Just
so
yeah,
you mentioned the hyperbaric chamber, and
yeah,
the hyperbaric chamber was hugely instrumental for me as well in healing. And the reason for that is because of the oxygen, and it's also the same reason why vitamin C works, because oxygen is life, right? So we all need oxygen to survive. And most people, almost all of us, are going around in low oxygen states anyway. We don't breathe properly. Some of us
yes,
sleep with our mouth open, and that's another thing about mouth taping and stuff like that. So yeah, most of us are deficient in oxygen. So the hyperbaric chamber is marvelous. And it's when you take IV vitamin C or liposomal vitamin C, as I later invented then, liposomal vitamin C converts, as IV vitamin C does, to hydrogen peroxide. And what is hydrogen peroxide? Is another form of oxygen. So the same
oh,
with the chamber. So you're flooding your body with oxygen. There's a very good book out there that I read, and it changed every perspective from me. What was it called? Ed. Oh God, I'm terrible at names now, but I'll get it for you. But it floods your
yeah,
body with oxygen basically, and it was all the different kinds. So I did IV ozone, I did hyperbaric oxygen, HBOT, HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I did the IV vitamin C, which is hydrogen peroxide it converts to. And then when I couldn't access those therapies, I would start to go downhill. I needed more of that. So as I said to you, I was researching, and I'm sorry, I'm hopping
yeah.
from one to another here. And
No,
then
no, no, it's good. I interrupted you. So yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'm trying to
yeah,
get my head around because it really helps.
it's just
I think it's
a
really
long
important.
journey, so I keep forgetting what came
No,
first.
no, no, it's fine. But I think it's really valuable for listeners. I think there's a hunger there. And I think it's understanding, as you said, the self-healing ability of our body. I am in no doubt of it in terms of what I've experienced. So yeah, that's why I wanted to stop there just to make sure
Yeah,
I don't
no,
miss
the
anything.
chamber. I mean, you're looking at a time, and you mentioned Live 5D, and it's
Mm,
just an amazing place,
it is.
But you go back to the time when I was ill, there was no IV vitamin,
Yes.
no liposomal vitamin C. We were the first to make liposomal vitamin C after Altrient in the US. Now, the Altrient brand in the US was backed by Dr. Thomas Levy, who's a leading cardiologist, and he knew the benefits of vitamin C for everything, and for your cardiovascular health as well. So I started to bring in the sachets. Theirs was always in sachet from the States. And I had a friend who lived out there bringing it back for me, but I just couldn't get enough of it because I'd be dependent on trips to come back and forward. And I realized that it was the vitamin C and the IV vitamin C that was making a massive difference to me. So I started to research how to make liposomal vitamin C, and I started to make it in tiny little pots like this, because it was basically ultrasonic method that you make it with, and it shakes it up and it binds the fat to the vitamin C and makes it into a little lipid.
Is that the
And I
key? Is
started,
that the key to the absorption? Sorry, when you said it
yeah,
binds the fat
yeah.
to the
So it's absorbed in the fat. Now, we never use soy because unfortunately most soy is genetically modified now. So we always used organic sunflower lectin, and the lectin is a fat, and it's a healthy fat. It's full of what they call phospholipid choline. So phospholipid choline is a fat, and you're basically getting your vitamin or your glutathione or your vitamin C or B, whatever it is, when you make a liposome, and you're encasing it and you're grabbing it in that fat. And that no longer has to be or can be broken down by your digestive system. Like if you take a pill or a powder, and they have their own uses as well. Like if you're doing colon flushing for the health of the colon, you would use vitamin C powder because that goes through the colon as you want it to do. But if you want high dose vitamins, like particularly vitamin C for the antioxidant or glutathione, if you take the liposomal formulation, it's the only way that you can absorb really high doses, because it's not
okay.
what you're taking, it's what you're absorbing.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And can
So
you
yeah,
just
it's
make sorry,
encased in a
okay.
fat, and it bypasses digestion, it goes into the lymph and into the liver, and the uptake is about 90%. Yeah,
Into the
so you
cells.
can actually imitate your own IV. And in a way, it's better because, like I said to you, the IV vitamin C I was getting make you feel marvelous, and it is marvelous. There's no doubt about that. But when you don't continue that, or you don't have IV vitamin C, for example, is water soluble, so you're going to pee the excess out straight away because it's water
Okay.
soluble, right? So
Yes.
then the next day you don't have the residue there. It's not a fat soluble vitamin that will be stored in your liver or stored. So it's water soluble. So you lose the extra, but your body will soak up massively what it needs for the infection and whatever else, or cancer, whatever else you're dealing with. But that's where your liposome comes in. So then you take your liposomal sachets. With vitamin C, it's all about your blood plasma level. So you need to keep the blood plasma levels high in ascorbate, which is your vitamin C. So when you take a sachet, like if we have a lot of clients that come to us that they're dealing with cancer, and they might be doing conventional treatments as well, they might not, but they would be taking vitamin C 4 or 5 times a day, because that way they're topping up their blood serum levels all the time. And their body's not getting time to pee out just they are peeing out their excess, and then they take more, and so on and so forth. So the benefits are phenomenal. And that's when my health started to change. When I started to have, and then I started to make glutathione and then a B complex. And
What is
so
glutathione? Sorry. Tell me what glutathione, I don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so glutathione is produced endogenously in the liver, right? And the more glutathione we have, the healthier we are. So a very young person would have very high levels of glutathione, right? We would imagine, because they haven't aged, they haven't had a lot of alcohol going through their liver, they haven't taken Panadol every week like a lot of people take. All of the stresses of life and our diet, our physical stress, our mental stress will all affect our glutathione levels. So glutathione is produced endogenously in your liver, okay? And we would hope to have really high levels. The only way you can replace glutathione, there's 3 ways really. I mean, some people say take the amino acids, the 3 amino acids, and you make your own. I don't think that's very effective. The most effective way is IV glutathione, which I was having added to my drips when I was having them all the time. The other way is liposomal glutathione, because it's encased in a fat bubble and it's going into the liver and bypassing digestion into the lymph and the liver. So, and the other way then is by doing coffee enemas. Now, that one can be a bit controversial for a lot of people because they don't want to put coffee up their bum, which is basically what you have to do. I did them.
Did
and
you?
they're amazing, so life-changing. Yeah, and we sell a lot of coffee enemas now.
So what is it doing? Sorry, say that again. What is the coffee enema
So
doing?
when you do one coffee enema, you're increasing your endogenous glutathione by 700%. It's massive, absolutely massive. And that's why all of the Gershon clinics, like the cancer clinics, they do coffee enemas.
Yes.
Because
What is glutathione doing? Just to explain, what exactly?
glutathione is the master antioxidant of the body, and it cleans up all of the body on a cellular level, intracellular and extracellular. So when you have an antioxidant like that, that's cleaning up all of your cells and basically gobbling up the toxins and the pathogens and, you know, whatever else is going on that shouldn't be there, your body's just going to change completely. I mean, I have stopped doing coffee enemas, and I probably should take them back up again because you just feel amazing. But the busier we've got in our business, then I'm not dedicating the same amount of time to my own health that I used to.
Yes.
Because
I
before it was a
know.
priority.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like, oh geez, I must do that, and then I don't do it, you know.
Yeah. But how
Thank God.
quickly did all of this start to have an impact on your life? You know, when you started the liposomal, you know, you started making it at home, is it? I know you were doing the
Yeah,
IV.
so within a couple of months, things really started to change. I was no longer getting like really bad trembling and anxiety, and because my body was starting to be able to be replenished, if you like, you know. So I was replenishing myself on a daily basis instead of just having 1 drip and then, or 2 or 3 drips and then going home and then not having anything for months. So the infections were starting to heal, and this healing was staying. And then, of course, once I went down the rabbit hole of self-healing, I just kept researching. And then came lymph drainage, red light therapy, and I ordered my red light at the time. Now you can get them everywhere, but you couldn't get them anywhere in Ireland. And I ordered I was on a lot of Facebook, saved my life, believe it or not. I was on a lot of Facebook groups. I learned so much. I'll never discount what I learned on different Facebook groups, between red light, between the vitamin C group was a massive one for helping me. And I contributed a lot to that group myself at the time because we were all sharing stories. I actually set up a Facebook group myself, which has about 25,000 members now for NICO, which is, yeah, the short term for cavitational osteonecrosis of the jawbone. Now, we have 25,000 people on there who are all coming looking for help, sick from root canals. And a very good movie came out, I think it was banned on Netflix, but it was The Root Cause. And that guy, the Australian guy, and he joined our group as well after he launched that film, The Root Cause. And I can't remember his name now. I remember every number in the song, but I'm dreadful at names. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, he's on our group.
Yeah.
But he and it was banned because, you know, the root canals are they're a massive gravy train, a massive money spinner for a lot of dentists, and
And
a
what
lot of
would,
people
if
get
someone said
dismissed
to
as
you, yeah, can I just, I mean, I agree. I had one and I didn't really want to have one. I only had one. But if you haven't had, you know, because some people might say, God, I had a root canal and I'm not, you know, in horrific pain or infections. I'm not saying what do you say, because obviously we all have different things going on in our bodies and who knows what's happening underneath the surface. Don't want to terrify people either. But I suppose what you're suggesting, regardless, is it in terms of good health, is like the liposomal vitamin C, the glutathione. These are all whatever illness or whatever you're facing. Because I had lymph nodes taken out when I had breast cancer, and I did get lymphedema, and then through exercise and different things I was doing, thank God, it's sort of
gone.
it seems to be gone. And I do my best through, you know.
You do the big six.
No, I don't know what the big six is, so please
So
tell
if you
me.
look up the big six on YouTube, it's Dr. Perry Nicholson.
Okay.
And if you do the big six every morning, you basically start the terminator here where everything drains.
The drainage.
Right? So here, So you start here.
Yes.
You know, and then you're going to do the face as well, and under the jaw, and then under the arms, and then the patting. And then you're also going to do underneath your diaphragm here, and then the inguinal nodes at your bikini line, and then behind the knee. So if you spend a couple of minutes every day opening those areas, and then you can do things like jumping on a rebounder or a mini trampoline, the same thing. You can even do skipping. I personally have a vibration plate, which I love. It's amazing for opening all the lymphatic system.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, but if you just jump on a vibration plate and you're quite toxic, or you're quite swollen, you have a lot of fluid around because your lymph is not moving, you can actually make yourself feel worse because the outlets are blocked. So you need to open up. Germany, you need to open up your drainage points.
Yeah.
And it's all about draining and eliminating. So you'll find when your lymphatic system is draining and draining well, and it's opening well, and you're jumping on your vibration plate or rebounder, you'll find just a massive difference in your health and even in your bowel health, because we have so much lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes in our abdomen primarily, that if it's blocked, you'll be constipated and you're just not able to eliminate. So one thing, like I said earlier, depends on the other. That was
So that that's very really interesting, because I do a lot of walking and yoga, and I do a lot of movement. It's definitely shifted, and I've been doing. So if you're talking about the pillars of, I suppose, looking after ourselves and health, and obviously reducing toxins, I mean, it's become very big for me because I've been feeling it. And I suppose the more you clear, can I ask you this? It feels like the more, let's say, toxin sensitive I am now, I can very quickly tell, oh, not for me. So does that sort of, like, it's reducing toxins, but it's also, as you said, oxygen, it's oxygenating the body. How would you describe the key sort of pillars, let's say, to...
Well, I think the more you become aware and the less toxins you have, your body always screams at you when you come in.
That's what I find.
I'll give you an example. Like, I used to use perfume. Now I can't stand the smell of perfume. I actually get a
Same
headache.
here. I only use essential oils, pure essential oils now, and I make my own, and I can feel how it I use the doTerra. I talk about them a lot because I know they're pure, they're tested, and I can feel the frequency. I can feel them when I use them in my body. My body just takes a breath. So it is about listening, isn't it? We become more sensitive, as you said, and we start to know our body will tell us very quickly.
You become more sensitive, both in the way they make you feel awful, and you become more sensitive in that you notice them straight away by the smell even. But I remember when I was ill, my girls would be using, I have 3 girls now, the youngest was only a baby, but the eldest girl, I think she was about 14, 15 then. And, at that age, you'd be experimenting with nail varnish upstairs. I could smell the nail varnish downstairs and they were using it upstairs. That's how sensitive I was. And if they were here, they would verify that. And I used to be giving out hell to them saying, I told you not to be using that shit. They thought I was mad. What's wrong with her? Like the other mothers did no problem using nail varnish. But I was telling them that I didn't even know really the danger of the nail varnish. I just knew that instantly it made me feel really sick, the smell of my house, and it gave me a terrible headache. So I was telling them, just to save myself at the time, stop using that, it makes me feel awful. But as my journey continued, I learned why I was feeling that way, because my bucket was already full of toxins.
Yes, at the time. Sorry, when you were starting to feel very sensitive, is it? You were saying because you were already
sensitive to
over.
everything, even the smell of bleach. But your body is alerting you, I can't cope with any more toxins. My sink is going to overflow.
Okay.
But then when you do heal, you still can't stand the smell of them.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering, am I over toxic? But I feel I think it feels there's more toxin. And I think for a lot of people, we're all becoming. So if you're over toxic, you'll be sensitive. And also when you start to then clear it out because your body just doesn't want it.
Cleared out. It's like, take for example, the hyperbaric chamber, and going back to that, there were no, like, when I was ill, there was no IV vitamin C, there was no vitamin C, there was no wellness centres, there was no hyperbaric chamber in Ireland, none. My husband was working for Pfizer in the financial section at the time, and he was lucky that he was working with the USA, so he was allowed to work from home way before anybody else was. So I found a chamber in Spain, in Malaga, and we rented a place in Spain for 6 weeks. And I did 6 weeks chamber there. Every morning I went into the chamber to try, because even if I bought a soft chamber here from a lady that was way ahead of the game, and she had used it for her son who had autism. But the first time I used it, the lid blew off. It was a soft chamber. And I hadn't got the heart to ask her for the money back because she was selling it because she was... Yeah, it was 2,500, and that was like...
Oh my God.
Yeah, my husband was like, ask them for the money back. And I said, oh no, leave it. Like, they're not in a good place. Just leave it. We'll fix it. But anyway, I found out later that the soft chamber was no good for me because I needed... It's called the dive with a chamber. So if you're healing soft tissue, or you're just trying to oxygenate your body, oxygenate your brain, well, this, a dive of about, that's how deep the oxygen level is going. So that could be 1.4 ATA, it's called. But for me, because I needed to penetrate bone, or somebody that's trying to heal cancer of the bone that's gone into the bone, or for me, osteomyelitis of the jaw, which was widespread then. So I needed something that went over 2.4 ATA. So the hard chamber, so they were the ones that looked like half an aeroplane basically, and you sat there with the big gas mask thing on you. But like that, when I would come out of there, you just felt as if the world smell was so, like what you said about when you come out of the hyperbaric chamber, you feel so clean and the air is lovely. But you come into contact with nail varnish or something toxic straight away, your body will alert you immediately, because you are after being in 100% pure oxygen environment, which we don't live with. We're lucky if we have 21% oxygen in the environment we live in.
Shocking, isn't it? And we wonder why we're so unwell. Like, it just...
brain fog and all the things that people go around with.
Yeah. Like, I had the strongest sense today, just it being a beautiful sunny day, and I was looking out, just the flowers and the sea, and going like, our natural state, like we are nature, is vitality. Like, I just kept feeling it. Like we are not meant to be. We're not. And I know most people know this, and it's just a reality of our world. There's so much toxins. But that's a huge. That's a huge part of you becoming well again. Was it as well? Was that, as well as taking the the liposomal vitamin C, the glutathione, the oxygen,
comes back to
also
oxygen.
reducing. Pardon?
It all comes back to oxygen and circulation. Like the IV vitamin C, the liposomal vitamin C produces hydrogen peroxide, and then antioxidants which combat toxins like glutathione, and then circulation. So you're talking about circulation for the lymphatic system, to get your heart going, to get your lymphatic system moving, to get your drainage pathways open, and that would be your rebounder, your vibration plate, your big six. And then I'm trying to think what else I do. Say red light therapy. So it's all about that's one thing we haven't spoken about is sunlight.
Yeah.
So how amazing, like I'm here to see how amazing do we all feel today when the sun is
I
shining.
know the difference.
So we're light creatures and we need the light. And we don't only need the light to feel good, but we need the light for our body to work systemically well, in the sense like even for to avoid sunburn, people think they need to avoid the sun. We actually need the sun. So we all go around with dark sunglasses on, but they're probably one of the worst things that we can wear, because there are the melanin, which is what changes the color of our skin. So the melanin is produced at the back of the eye. So if you're going around with dark glasses and you're in Spain and it's really hot and sunny, your body is not producing enough melanin to protect you against the sun, because it doesn't think it's sunny because you've got black glasses on.
Incredible to know that,
So
isn't
you
it?
need to, even
Yeah.
in Ireland, if you get out the first 15 minutes of your waking time and exposure to the sunlight, and you get the sun into your eye, that prepares it not only sets your circadian rhythm for how well you're going to sleep or rest and relax, and your rest and digest system, it resets everything. So it's very important to get the sunlight and not
Yeah.
to
But you
wear
hear
dark.
so much now about, and sure, most sunscreen is quite toxic anyways, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
Really, you're just going lathering
See,
on
look,
it.
when they brought out sunscreens, skin cancers went through the roof. Like
And
skin
very few
cancers are
people,
not being caused by the sun; they're being caused, in my opinion, by the creams,
yeah,
by the
yeah,
chemicals
yeah,
in the
yeah,
sunscreen.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I went
yeah,
abroad several times and I just used coconut oil, which has a natural SPF of
yeah,
30. They're about, I'm not saying that you should go out in the really hot sun of the day and
yes,
just scald yourself either. Like you
yeah,
need to, but you need to get the sunlight first thing in the morning into your eyes. And a big reason why people are burning in the first place is because of the use of seed oils. So many people are using toxic seed oils, which creates horrible trans fats in the body. So you're setting up between your creams and your seed oils to just have unhealthy skin and to burn, and on cellular level you're not healthy. So
yeah. What? Yeah, and it's sorry, tallow is another thing. I've started using the beef tallow. That also has, I think, as well, a
they
natural
sell a
SPF in
huge
it,
amount. I
isn't it?
mean, I imported beef tallow from America about before it hit here, about five
Wow,
years ago. I
you're
was
ahead of your time, Jackie.
yeah, I was importing beef tallow from a girl, RCA Skincare. She's still going. She does amazing stuff, and I imported in the tallow from her, but unfortunately they stopped it right in the customs, and she does beautiful stuff. And it was stopped in the customs and it was held up so long in the Irish customs that when it got there, everybody I gave to was like, it's nothing smell off of that, because it was kind of gone off. It was sitting in customs
Oh
and
yeah.
they charged us €700 customs to
Oh
release
my
it.
God.
Anyway, after that then, speaking to different people that I knew, and Leanne was one of them, and she's an aromatherapist, I was saying, why don't you make tallow? Because I brought in tallow. It's amazing, but I would never bring it in from the States again. And we've
Yeah.
got the most amazing, for the reasons of the custom
Yeah.
and all of that. But I said, we've got the most amazing grass-fed beef here.
Yeah. There's a beautiful woman I interviewed in Westport, Maria from Namawe. She
Yeah,
stocks also in Live 5D Health's shop in
yeah, I've
Gordon.
seen it there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I got a pot off her and it's just fabulous. Like as she said, it's like
Love
the
it. Yeah.
sebum, natural sebum of your
Well,
skin.
it's full of ADEFA
Yeah.
for the
And you
skin.
can feel it when you put it on. Your skin doesn't end up greasy. It just absorbs. It just like glides. It's like your body knows what it needs
Yeah.
from it, and it just takes what it needs. It's
So I
just
was using just tallow. Now I use, I don't know if you've seen our castor oil range.
no. So talk a bit about some of the products. I don't want to because I'm just phenomenal to hear about the glutathione and liposomal vitamin C. I'm going to put anyways. We're going to talk a bit more, but I'm just for listeners. I'm going to put all of the contact details and your website
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
in the description box and in
Yeah,
the
I
when
can
you're
give you a
anyone
discount
watching
code as
below the
well
video.
for your listeners.
Pardon?
I can give you a discount code for your listeners.
Oh, thank you. That'd be wonderful. Thank you. Because I just was blown away by the liposomal vitamin C. A question before you go on to the castor oil and some of the other products.
Mhm.
On the liposomal vitamin C, would you suggest, like, do we need to be taking something like that more in winter, or is it something that you take all the time, or how
No,
do
it's
you?
something that we need all the time
Okay.
because humans lost the ability to make their own vitamin C. Like if you look at any of like dogs, cats, animals, they all make their own ascorbate. They make their own vitamin C in their livers.
And
And
how did
humans
we
lost
lose
the
the
ability.
ability to?
It's like a genetic malformation.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know exactly, but I know that
Okay.
we lost the ability and we don't make vitamin C. And vitamin C is so essential for cardiovascular health, for immune system, for skin. It's just so essential to every cell in the body that that doesn't change from the winter to the summer.
Yes. Yes.
Now, we
Okay.
do get a lot of more vitamin D, which is also very essential in the summer. So that helps us feel better, but it doesn't take away our need also for vitamin C.
Okay, because I've always found it, you know, not confusing about like, say, oh, you need vitamin D, you need vitamin C, and then vitamin D. Is there calcium? Explain a bit. Do you stock a product that's can
So
you
we
do
stock
DK?
liposomal, we do our own liposomal D3, K2.
Yes, I try.
So you
Yes.
need K2 to direct the D3 in the right way. Okay. So there are a lot of people who wouldn't take. There's a bit of controversy about vitamin D because some people say it can become toxic and can be stored in the liver. So we would never advocate for people to take huge doses of vitamin D. Unlike vitamin C, vitamin D is stored. It's a fat soluble vitamin, so it is stored in the liver. But in Ireland, we're all very. I would advocate for people to take vitamin D in Ireland because we don't get a lot of sunlight in the first place, and the sun is we've a lot of cloud cover. That's another story.
Yes.
We've a lot of cloud cover in Ireland and a lot of dark days, so we need we do need vitamin D, but I would never advocate for someone to overtake. You can't overtake vitamin C, for example, because you'll pee
Okay.
out the excess.
Okay.
But you can
And
overtake vitamin D. So, like for example, our liposomal, you only need a half a teaspoon a day, and then
of
you can
the
stop and start it. Yeah, and you
the
probably don't
D3.
need it in the summer then if you're getting like
Yes.
our ability to. This is a thing as well where our ability to absorb vitamin D as well is based on our cholesterol levels, and this is what people don't realize. Like cholesterol is being vilified. A lot of people
Yeah.
need to read the cholesterol myth because cholesterol is so vital for every cell, all of our health. Our cholesterol is vital for our brain function. Our brains are 70 to 80% fat, and they need fat and they need cholesterol. And this goes back then to not only using tallow for our face, but using tallow, no seed oils, tallow for our cooking, ghee, but which is clarified butter. So they're not becoming trans fat to have a high smoke point. But these were all things that our grandmothers and great grandmothers used,
Yes.
and there was no really, there was no dementia the way there is now. Not that I heard of. So people are taking statins, and the statins are reducing the cholesterol, but the cholesterol is they're also reducing the fats available to the brain, and the brain can't function without fats. All of the neurons, they fire on fat. So we need we're going back to vitamin D. So we need a good, decent cholesterol level to be able to absorb vitamin D from the sun. Because they all work
Okay.
in synergy. And we also need good amount of cholesterol and vitamin D for thyroid hormones. And it's why so many people have thyroid issues as well, because they're not able to convert like T4 to T3. So a lot of people have enough T4. There's the two main thyroid hormones. But
Okay.
if you can't convert T4 to T3, you make what's called reverse T3. So T4 is like your shed with your hormones in it. And then you've got to
Okay.
take the hormones from the shed and convert them to T3, which is the active hormone. But we can't do that if we don't have enough cholesterol or vitamin D.
So what's the story with all you hear about? And so people say, oh, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. And so what is this issue that people are so,
Well,
going to doctors and getting your cholesterol level checked and you need to
I would
reduce
just
it
put a massive question mark over all of
over
that.
that?
And I
Yeah.
just think it's all bull,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. I feel the same as well. I'll eat loads of egg. Well, I don't know, but I love eggs, but good,
Yeah.
good prop, nice fresh, straight from.
We have a place down the road here in Wicklow where I go and collect 30 of them at a time, or 60 because we all eat eggs. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great place as well in Galway, Mad Yoke Farm, and it's a city farm, and they bring it's a great name, and they bring them into different
Yeah.
shops and markets. And I mean, when you start to, like you said, our grandparents, my grandmother, my mother always says that my grandmother had hens out the back and vegetables. You know, they knew the value and fresh food, and she said that the eggs from the hens paid for her piano lessons from the to
Yeah.
the nuns across the road in the
Yeah.
convent. You
And
know, it's
everybody
sort of.
had the little the box at the end of the gate in the countryside.
Yeah, like we're sort
The,
of going
the
back.
honey
It's like,
and the eggs and the
yeah, it's wonderful. So, okay, the vitamin D, yeah. Well, question on that as well. Like a lot of women, I meet as well would be struggling or suffering with osteoporosis. So,
Mm.
where is that all again connected with your vitamin? I suppose it's your vitamin. Well, I mean, there's different
well,
reasons why they have it, but in terms
well,
of these,
osteoporosis as well, yeah, would be connected, I believe, to cholesterol and vitamin D again and the health of your
okay,
liver, because and also like we need to do weight bearing exercises because
yeah,
we need to have the ingredients first of all to build strong bones, and then when we have the ingredients to build strong bones, like again, come back to I love the vibration plate is great for that. And
yeah,
vibration plates went right out of fashion because people said that's not going to the gym and that's not really doing real exercise. But it's about like it's very, very good for building muscle and building strength and
yeah,
weights as well. So it is a bit of like, I suppose if we go back in time, women would have been doing a lot more naturally weight
yes,
exercises,
yeah,
water, carrying laundry, you know, I'm
yeah.
trying to think of examples, but we would have been naturally doing a lot more exercise and a lot more physical stuff
Yeah, yeah,
we're
and
doing
carrying
now.
around and yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like you know, even when I
Yeah,
think of like my grandmother there, and they would have been probably out in the
yeah,
garden and carrying things, and you know, down physically moving, I suppose, because a lot of women, and it's not a good or a bad, I'm saying, but a lot of women maybe who are maybe more sedentary working than maybe
yeah.
physically,
I mean, it's just the way life's
it is,
changed.
yeah.
It's not
It's
changing
not a
for
judgment. It's
anybody.
just the reality.
And I think I don't really know if I'm right about this, but I think really that the onslaught of like women taking hormones now has a huge, I would imagine, have a huge impact on osteoporosis as well. Because I mean, I know they didn't have the machinery to detect whether women had osteoporosis in the past anyway, the same way as all the, in my opinion, over detection of breast scanning and you know, cervical smears and all of that kind of thing. Like when you're looking for the problem, you're going to find some. You know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't look after our health,
Yeah,
that we shouldn't do checks, but sometimes too much of anything isn't good. And we also have a situation where so many young people are on hormone. Like I was at the Future Beauty and Health Show last
hmm,
weekend. We had our Castor Life product launch
yeah.
there.
Tell me again. Sorry, we started talking about that and
Yeah.
then we went off in
But
another
just I'll tell you
direction.
about that now, but
Yeah,
just to say they had a hall which was meant to be an add-on of fertility, right, for young women. It was a whole fair in itself. Like since when did women become so infertile? It was huge. The talks, the stalls, everything. And it was all about infertility.
yeah.
Like since when did young women become so infertile?
Mm,
That's another
mm,
conversation, I guess, that I don't have the
yeah,
answer. I
yeah.
but I'm not
A
suggesting I do.
number.
I'm just saying that something where the more we're moving away from our natural cycles, even as
Yes.
women, before we go into menopause, and moving away to processed foods and chemicals like birth control, I feel the more we're creating issues between, even for men with testosterone levels, sperm count, and women with egg fertility and stuff. And I had that feeling that that's what was going on by even
Mm,
messages I would get in on the chat on our website or emails. But when I saw it in person at the Future Body Show, I was blown away by the amount of people, the amount of stands, exhibitors that were there, all to do with infertility and IV. I'm not suggesting that it's wrong. If you can't conceive, of course, do whatever you
yeah,
need
yeah.
to do. But
Yeah.
why are we in that situation?
I know. Yeah, we all, I suppose it's a lot of things. It's just, and often it is like your journey and experience. It just shows, I mean, God, you're a voracious researcher. Like you obviously phenomenal capacity, just even from what you're describing. I'm going, not many people might go on that, hunger to discover. I suppose when it comes to your own health, like it's through our own experiences, isn't it? Like my experience of cancer
Yeah.
totally shifted in a gradual way, but bit by bit. And
Well, it
like you
kind
said,
of goes organically. You learn
it
bit by
does
bit. Like
exactly.
I didn't learn or unlearn everything altogether. It
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
bit by bit, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And
But I mean,
the
it's a
same with
powerful,
eating. I
yeah.
went down the vegan route when I wasn't well, and me personally, I think it just made me more unwell because
Mm,
I didn't have any fats, and your fats will soak up the toxins. Like if you,
okay.
and it's another reason. Like there's two ends of the spectrum. If you have a lot of belly fat, because your body's trying to protect yourself from the toxins, and it will store the fat. The toxins are stored in the fat. But if you are so thin and you're unwell that you're being hit by your brain and the nervous system by the toxins, because there's nowhere for them to be stored and to protect you from the toxic onslaught. And I feel it's why a lot of people suffer. Even like that was my experience being, I won't say vegan, but a lot of vegetarian. I was doing pints of wheatgrass a day, and I wasn't getting any better, really. I was getting worse because I didn't have the fats that you need. And again, back to the cholesterol. My cholesterol was only 1 point something. And I remember my doctor saying, "Oh, you're so healthy, you'll never die of a heart attack." But now I know that 1 point something is actually really unhealthy cholesterol.
God, I've never heard of anyone with 1 point.
I think
I
it was
don't even know what my
1.7.
cholesterol is. Yeah.
I didn't go for cholesterol. I went for blood tests, and
Yes.
he
Yeah.
commented, "Oh, your cholesterol is amazing, amazingly good," but it wasn't amazingly good. Now that I see, now it answers questions for me why I couldn't heal, because so
Yeah.
it's all intertwining. You need to give the body oxygen. You need to give movement, circulation, good nutrition always. Like you can't just take a load of vitamins and eat a load of processed crap either. It has to be a combination of think
What are
about
the top foods you recommend? I know, and it's about them being fresh and organic and not sprayed and all of that, but
yeah.
like, what would be your top foods that you'd recommend?
Well, I think in Ireland we have such amazing. It'll always depend on where you're living, but in Ireland we have such amazing um, lamb, beef, chicken, fish. Now, fish can be prone to toxins, but I always say to someone, if you want to eat fish, take a good scoop of vitamin C with it to neutralize any toxin that might be in the fish. Um,
Okay.
Vitamin C will neutralize, and the same for your bath water. The water is toxic, so you put a good dose of ascorbic acid vitamin C powder into your bath, and it'll neutralize the chlorine in the water. So you have to find little hacks around.
Yes, that's your biohacking. That's what that means, is it? Because it seems to
But
be a
biohacking
buzzword.
means, yeah, using little things to facilitate your use of something. Let's say biohacking your health, so you're using red light therapy to set your circadian rhythm. I have an infrared sauna which I use all the time, so that you're detoxing, you're sweating out. Your skin is your biggest organ, so biohacking is biohacking your health, using gadgets or things or food or vitamins to live your best life, I guess, to feel your
Yeah.
best self.
There's conferences and everything on it, isn't there? Like it is I just keep hearing biohacking, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
using things like that to
it's
sort of
become the new buzzword, absolutely.
kickstart or
But
yeah,
it is the new buzzword, but it is a
yeah,
new way of life, and a lot of
yeah.
people are living that life. So it's not just an empty word, really.
No, I know.
I
No, and
mean,
I
between sea swims and ice baths and infrared and everything that Mark has gone on there and
yes,
lived by through,
phenomenal. I mean, I've
that's a
used them
massive
all.
biohacking center
Yeah,
and
it
healing center.
is. And I believe all of this combined with, I interviewed April Danan, a medical intuitive and herbalist in Cork. She's a phenomenal woman as well. Everybody's got different pieces of the puzzle where they
Oh,
bring
yeah,
something,
yeah.
but it seems to be, the more, natural foods and herbs and oils and how they can support us. And then all the frequencies and how, bringing our body back in and the oxygen, like it's like light, sound, energy,
Light sound, then you have
vibration.
the tuning forks and
Yeah,
the solfeggio frequencies. You can use them just while you're working, even on
I'm
YouTube.
always playing those. I
Yeah,
mean, my whole system changes. No matter what I'm doing, I have the tab
really.
open
My
with
son
those.
uses them because he works on the computer. I don't use it so much because I don't really like working with computers, so I don't don't be still
Yeah.
long enough to use them.
And I mean, did you have a background in science or anything, or what was it?
No,
Just this desire?
I
Like
didn't
what?
even do science in school.
I know,
But
probably a
I
good thing.
do like cooking. I've always liked cooking, and I've always been aware of what I put into my body. And when I went down to do, when I wasn't well and I embraced vegetarianism, I didn't buy like spinach pancakes. I made all the stuff myself. And it wasn't a bother because I like being active, I like being busy, and I liked doing it for myself. But I was growing my own wheatgrass, and as I said, juicing it, and
I did that for a while during cancer. So, my God,
and it
you
actually came to
experiment.
hate it in the end. I was like,
I
oh,
know. No, but but I think that the evidence, the proof is in the pudding of, your own health. When people go, well, sure, you didn't study this, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I think we're rediscovering the original, I call it the original medicine, what our ancestors were
of
using,
course,
and
yeah, yeah.
new things too. It's not saying there aren't new technologies and things that are fantastic. And what you're
Absolutely.
doing is phenomenal.
I mean, if you have an accident and you're in a motorbike accident or a car crash, you're not going to heal yourself just taking a sachet of vitamin C.
Yeah,
You need to go to
yeah,
the
of
hospital. So there's a place
course.
for everything,
Yeah,
and surgery
yeah,
is amazing, and there's amazing
yeah,
healing technology,
absolutely.
heart and transplant. So I'm not knocking any of that. I'm
No.
just saying before like leaving aside an accident, we can enrich our lives every day by improving our own health.
Yeah.
It's,
And our energy, I
you
love the name, Vital Organico. I mean, my biggest passion, and it still is, since cancer, because my levels of energy were just so depleted. And I said, it's just the greatest desire of my life every day to work on really energizing my life, because I want to have the
yeah,
energy and the vitality to live, you know,
live your
the
best
best
life
life,
and
and
feel good.
enjoy it and not be exhausted, because so many people you meet are so, and it's hard. It's not easy. There's a lot of demands on people, but the more we can do. Just we mention again, sorry, the castor oil. Tell me a little bit about that, what you were
Yeah,
saying.
so how the castor oil came about was basically, as we go back to where I was researching, trying to learn about detoxification of the body, and not only nurturing your body and giving it the best nutrients, but also how to detox, like with infrared sauna, sweating out the toxins, but also coming back to the lymphatic system, constipation. If your pathways like your bowel and your lymphatic system and your sweating mechanism is not working, you're not going to be able to eliminate toxins. And even if you're not sick, we're exposed to those toxins on a daily basis, and you would become sick, let's say, eventually. So I started to use castor oil back at the time when I was unwell. But at the time, because as I said, I was learning a lot on Facebook as well, and I was learning about, castor oil, what does that do? And I was doing the coffee enemas. But castor oil, so at that time we were doing the belly button oil, and we were just putting it over our liver area, because castor oil is a solvent. It will draw out the toxins from the liver, and it'll draw out, like they reckon, I never had endometriosis, but a lot of people use it for younger girls for PCOS and endometriosis, and it's meant to be amazing for that. And we have people that use our pack and say that it's amazing for that. So back in that day, we were just using, like, say, a towel and soaking the towel, putting the castor oil on, and then you'd wrap it. We were wrapping it nonetheless with cling film. And when I look back, I think, Jesus, so you were taking one step forward and two back, or maybe two forward and one back, because you were using like plastic to wrap it in. And again, the castor oil would pull the toxins out of the plastic. So I developed an organic castor oil pack about 2 years ago, but we only had small little production of them, and they were too small. So then I got the idea there. The current pack we have was about 9 months in the making, because we kept getting them made and then adding a pocket, then adding a bigger heat pack and sending it around friends and women particularly, and saying, what do you think of that? And then they'd say, well, I like that, but I personally am bigger around here and I need longer straps, or I'd like a bigger heat pad. And Sinead actually said to us recently, you should make the heat pad a bit bigger. So we take on board all of those kind of things. So yeah, we got certified. Got certification is the certification for cotton. So we got certified cotton, and we have the packs made, and then we have the wheat pad that goes into it. Again, if you're using castor oil and you're using wheat that's been sprayed, and people don't think of this, like if you have wheat that's been sprayed with pesticides and everything, then you're putting it in your pack and you're putting it. So it's all organic, basically. It's called the body kit, and it comes in a big cylinder box, and it has the heat pad. Again, the oil itself, you have to be very careful where you buy castor oil, because if it's stored in plastic, it'll pull the plastics out of the bottle into the oil.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
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 So we bring
Okay.
it in stainless steel drums with a
Okay.
tap, and we bottle it directly into amber glass, and then it's sealed. And again, our heat pack is only organic wheat that's made for us in the UK. So we kind of got different pieces in different places, put them together to form the body kit. And then we have the one for the neck, which is for the thyroid, which will dissolve cysts or swelling, or again for the cervical lymph nodes in the neck. So yeah, it's amazing.
I mean,
We
it's a
launched it.
phenomenal castor oil, isn't it? I started using it through, and I use it on my face as well, and often
Yeah.
I got
So
good. And
you love our new roller. I
oh,
developed a new roller because I use it on my face as well. And when you'd use it from the pump, you'd get a good bit on your hand and you'd be trying to put it onto your face, but you'd find that more than not, you'd have too much. So you'd be trying to wipe it off and tissue and everything, and you're like, it's, the really good castor oil is not, it's not as cheap, let's say, as trying to get this right. So I developed the roller. So the roller is rose quartz. We brought in the bottles, all right, but we fill the bottles ourselves. So it's the same castor oil, but it's like the crystal, the rose quartz. So it's a
yes.
rose quartz crystal, and it's amazing because we fill the bottles. You can reuse your bottle, take off your crystal, and reuse it again and refill it, and you get a lovely fine film.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Got to try that.
Yeah.
All these,
No,
but
it's
like
really.
nobody was talking about them. I think even it was a friend it was a good while back, and she said even just as you could put it on, leave it on, and then take it off with a hot cloth after a while and just let it
Yeah.
soak
Or
in, and
just
then
put it
just,
on going to bed. But if
yeah,
you use
I've
the
done
roller,
that.
you don't need to take it off because you just get
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
fine film.
It sort of absorbs in, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
really, so that's releasing a lot of that. I mean, that's phenomenal when you say even with cancers or different things that people have, the detoxing effect of it.
Well, going back to your lymphatic system, so if your
Yeah.
lymphatic system is not draining and working right, you won't be able to heal,
Mm,
from any
mm.
illness. So using the castor oil pack was very instrumental for me because most of our lymphatic system is in the abdomen. And that goes back to people feeling toxic with constipation or even menstruation issues or endometriosis. A lot of that depending on the lymphatic and congestion of the lymphatic system in the abdomen. So when you put your castor oil on your flannel and you put your pack on and you put your heat pad in, you start slowly and you work up to maybe overnight, and it is so healing for the liver if you put it on the liver, or the lower back, or the abdomen. And so that's how that product was born. Everything that I kind of brought to our website was what had helped me as well,
And I
along
mean
with.
that's phenomenal. Like that's that personal experience. You're living proof. This isn't someone sort of telling you this will fix you. You're saying this is what worked for me, and this is why
Yeah,
I've developed it. And I
and not
mean you,
everything is for everybody. Like some
yeah,
people might not
yeah,
like
yeah,
casserole plaques. They might, I love the vibration plate. Some people might not like
yeah,
vibration plate, but I think
yeah.
it's a game changer for the lymphatic system when used in conjunction with the body kit, the castor oil.
Okay, fantastic. You're giving me a lot of ideas, and I know you'll be giving the listeners a lot of ideas. It's very empowering, isn't it, as well? This is what I like.
Yes,
It's this
because you're
bringing back
just saying,
empowerment.
I'm going to do this for myself,
Yeah, yeah,
and like you don't have to buy a kit. You can just make sure you have organic fabric.
yeah,
But you still have to. The kit is waterproof on the outside, so it doesn't destroy your pajamas or your t-shirt. So it's just that little bit of luxury that you have for yourself. But you can
yeah,
just use a length of organic fabric and wrap it around you and pull up an old pair of leggings. You can do it that way as well. But just make sure that your castor oil has never been in plastic, and it's raw and hexane free and cold pressed, not expeller
yes.
pressed, which is like a food processor, if you like, speed it up and it'll destroy the properties of the castor oil. So yeah, once you're ticking all the boxes with the basic product, you're good to
Yeah,
go, really. Even
yeah, brilliant.
even
And
with
it's yeah, you just keep it. All I keep coming back to is, and I never knew this: the body's ability to self heal is just the
yeah.
intelligence, and what we can do just to, as you said, make that as easy as possible and support it, because we're not living
Well,
in We
Yeah,
are living in a bit of a toxic environment, so everything we can do
put it mildly.
to put it mildly, I know. Well, we hope in time. Yeah, more and more people I think are waking up to that fact and
Yeah,
seeing
and
the
more people
difference.
demand for a cleaner environment
Yes,
and cleaner
yes,
water. I
yes.
mean, we have to be the only
Water,
country like with fluoride in our
I know.
water.
I know.
And
But there's
like my
still as
husband's
many people
Italian, there's no
saying, oh, it's
fluoride in
very
his.
good and it's very like there's so many, it's
So,
amazing how I know. Just
like
mention a
fluoride
little bit about
calcifies
the
the
water.
pineal gland, and the pineal gland is what is our God
Yeah,
source, our God connection, if you believe in that. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, fluoride is not good.
No, no. And yeah, we leave
Actually, a
all.
byproduct from chemicals. Like it's not. It's a toxic waste product, really.
Yeah,
It's just
my
dumped into
God.
the water to get rid of it.
Yeah. And I think that's what often, when you said your God connection and that connection, I always find it's almost my feeling almost is particularly that's the downside of religion. It sort of turned everybody away from the access to the true power that you are. And once you come to
Yeah.
know, you can call it any name you want in the world, but it's what powers up. Look at nature, look at a flower,
And your
look at,
source. Yeah, it's going back
yeah,
to your source.
your source. Yeah.
If you don't
Now,
like the name God connection,
pick any
but
name.
even like everything has been hacked, even religion has been hacked. There's nobody
Yeah.
saying that
Yeah.
any religion is the right religion, because every religion has been infiltrated by humans, and humans are prone to
Corruption.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, your source, let's say,
Yeah.
anything that
Your
takes you.
power source, it's like a phone would have one. And it's when
Yeah,
you can, well, all I can say, and I'm sure looking at you, anyone listening to you will know the same. Once you start tapping into that in whatever way works for you, my God, the sky
you
is
go
the
down
limit.
the rabbit hole, there's no coming back.
No, no. And it's often, isn't it, again, I won't go into this because it's often a whole other topic, but when you talk about the toxicity, what I have noticed is it's also the toxicity of our beliefs about ourselves that can limit us
Yeah,
to live at our full capacity, the toxicity of the emotional stagnancy that we can hold on to. There's
yeah, it's
many layers.
multidimensional. Like it's coming
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the air, the water, the environment, and it's also coming from our inner self and emotional state and our belief in ourselves or non-belief, whatever that might be.
yeah. So, any final words before we wrap up, Jackie? There's so much more, as I said, I could say, but I think you've really given. It's just phenomenal what you're doing,
Thank you.
with you and your husband, Paolo. Was it?
No, no, Claudio.
Claudio. Sorry,
All right, Paolo.
sorry. That sounds so like a.
No, no bother at all.
Oh, sorry. Well, thank you
He's here
both.
laughing.
I know. Sorry, Claudio. But no, it's phenomenal what you're doing. All I can say is I tried the liposomal vitamin C and I was like, it must be my body when you describe it. My body
Really
is
like it.
like my
Yeah,
body went like with the oxygen chamber. My body was like,
yeah.
give me more of this, whatever it is. I could,
I feel the same, and I'd love to get I'd love to have a room in my house to have a hyperbaric chamber, because they're becoming so much more accessible now.
yeah.
You can
Well,
even rent
but the
them
liposomal
out.
vitamin C is doing the same thing in a way, isn't it? It's
Well,
oxygenating
it's
in a
doing the
different
same
way.
thing. Yeah, you're getting like oxygen into the cell, but I think the beauty of the hyperbaric chamber is you're under pressure, so the oxygen is forced down very deeply into the cell in one go. And the hyperbaric oxygen chamber is amazing for anybody battling cancer of any description, or any illness. I mean, I believe it's amazing as well for Parkinson's, for MS. They
Yeah.
actually have a hyperbaric chamber for MS in trim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
oxygen
yeah.
is life. It's healing.
It
So
is, and I could feel it when I went in, even just coming out, and I didn't have any particular ailment that I know of, but I just went, my God, I'm more clear
you feel really
thinking,
more awake, don't you? And clear and
spacious.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and alert and just, yeah,
alert. And the
phenomenal.
colors, everything seems so much more vivid.
Alive,
Alive.
alive. As you said,
Yeah.
oxygen is life. Any final words, and then we'll wrap up. And as you said, thank you. If you're offering a discount code to the listeners, I'll include that also
Yeah,
for
yeah.
anyone
We'll give
listening
you a
and
code.
not watching. I'll put that in at the end. So,
Absolutely. Now the
thank you.
code will be available on. We stock a lot of other products that we can't make everything else. See, we're a small
Of
business.
course.
So
Yeah,
it won't be available on some products that we're only
sure.
putting in and offering to people, but it will be on all our own range.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. That's greatly
Very
appreciated.
welcome,
I can
Sylvia.
vouch for them. I'll be getting more because, yeah, really life changing. And it's wonderful to see an Irish company because you are the
Thank you
first
so much.
of your, yeah,
Yeah.
you are the first of a kind. And but the word is growing because more and more people I speak to, they go, oh, yeah, Vital Organics. I know.
I
Is it
hope so.
Vital Organico or Vital Organics?
Vital Organico. So
Right.
when I went out on my own, I was just trading as Organico, and my husband was still working. And then when he took redundancy in 2021, and we decided to make this a business, and then we brought on the sachets and the travel handy sachets and all that. We tried to get Organico Limited, but it was already taken. But I had been trading as Organico. But the name of our vitamin C was Vital C. So we just combined Vital and Organico, and that's how Vital Organico came about.
Oh, wow. It's a great
That's a
name.
bit of a mouthful, but the Organico was gone at that stage.
Yeah. No, I love it because vitality, like it is,
Yeah,
it's the vital life force. It's what, powers us up and we're nothing without
yeah,
it. So
that's it. We felt it was a bit of a mouthful sometimes, but yeah,
it's
it's fine.
amazing. If it's a good thing, it'll catch on. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Thanks so
uh,
much,
so
Celine.
thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you
Thank
everyone for
you.
listening. And it's
And
just
thanks
been a
to
wonderful.
everybody that sticks with it. And it's a long,
No, it was phenomenal. I mean, the amount of information, it's just, yeah, really, 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 yeah, it's life changing, and we can embrace the self-healing
all on a journey.
capacity of our bodies. So, thank you,
Yeah.
Jackie. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much,
Until the next
Celine.
time,
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
you too. Take
Take care.
care.